What is going on, everybody, and welcome back to the Rambling Men Sports Podcast. As always, it's Shane and James coming at you. As we said last week, we were doing a NFL draft recap show, and we did that. We had our live show last week. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in. Had a great time. I don't know about you, James. I know you were exhausted, though.
Yeah, dude, work is just wearing me out. It is what it is.
And then apologies again. My Boston Bruins are on right now. Not looking good. They're down by 1 goal, but it's just the second period. There's still plenty of time. But if you hear me give an outburst of any kind of exclamation, good or bad, that's why. But let's get right down to it. What we're going to do today, we're going to recap some of the draft, give our own winners, losers, and then some of the biggest steals we thought of the draft. James, why don't you start in the NFC? Who are some of your winners?
Some of my winners. Okay, I'll start there.
Okay. I didn't know you were going losers first.
That's fine. Yeah, we can do winners first just as easily.
Let's start on a positive note.
I think the Arizona Cardinals.
That was one of the teams I
know. Mm-hmm. Got their QB, and in my opinion, I think they wanted Rosen for the whole time. I think he fit in there the best. They didn't have to give up that much to give him.
I know.
If I'm not mistaken. They gave up their first and a third, right?
No. Well, yeah, their 15th pick, but not a future first. Yeah. And then I think a 5th round pick, yeah.
That's insane.
Yeah.
That's
mentioned it on the live show. All of those trades were pretty fair, I thought. The one that was ridiculous was the Saints trading up and giving away a future first for a defensive end. I lost you a little bit.
Yeah. Didn't make sense, though. But I think they drafted the perfect complement for Josh Rosen in the second round, and Christian Kirk, really precise route runner. Rosen's going to put it right on the money. They should do well, in my opinion, with David Johnson, Larry Fitzgerald, Christian Kirk. Rosen might be the front runner for Rookie of the Year, at least in my opinion. I think he's going to put up a pretty decent stat line.
Am I crazy to think he could be Week 1 starter?
No, I think he's going to beat out Sam Bradford because they want him to be there.
Yeah,
and I think they're.
I even like their 3rd and 4th round pick. I was writing about it in my blog. They drafted Mason Cole, one of the top centers in the class. Really but helped the interior of the offensive line for David Johnson. And then they drafted a backup running back as kind of like a compliment to Johnson, a little bit different game. But yeah, overall, I really like their draft.
Yeah, they had a great draft. Absolutely. Who was your first AFC team you thought that did well?
Indianapolis Colts. Not as good as I thought they'd do, but Quentin Nelson's huge. And then Darius Leonard, I thought was a little bit of a reach, but he does give them some help in the middle of their defense, and he's a good player. And then they drafted Braden Smith right after him in the 2nd round. Still a little bit of a reach, but they had to fix that offensive line. I don't have a huge problem with it. And then they had that 3rd pick in the 2nd round and got an edge rusher. I don't even know how to pronounce his name. Kamoko Toure from Rutgers. And then they traded back in the 2nd round again and got another edge rusher. So they got 2 depth pieces that could develop into some good players, who knows. And then I really like their 4th round pick in Nyheim Hines, their running back from NC State, ran like a 4.3 at the combine. At the very least, he can help out on special teams. But one of the biggest steals, this was the one I was going to include and didn't. I forgot to do it. One of the biggest steals in the draft they got was wide receiver Deion Kane from Clemson, picked him up in the 6th round.
Yeah, he was worth more than a 6th round pick. I agree. Some people had him, 3rd and 4th on their.
I had him 2nd round, I think.
Yeah, but so I'm going on to my second team now. You're gonna like this one, Shane. I had the Green Bay Packers.
I didn't think they were that. I thought they had a good draft. I didn't think they were like one of the best in the league.
I think they got two Week 1 starters at cornerback. Yep. A perfect number 1 corner and a perfect number 2 corner.
I think what it's looking like is Kevin King and Josh Jackson are going to be the outside corners, and Jair is just kind of going to go slot outside, that nickel, anything.
Jair Alexander is a really good player.
Yeah. And he'll be probably a punt returner.
The J.K. Scott pick, I'm sorry. I don't think punters are worth drafting. If he ends up being the best punter in the league, then maybe you end up saying it's worth it. But there's no way I would have ever spent a pick on that. You probably could have had him in the 7th. And then Equanimeous St. Brown in the 6th. I thought he was honestly one of the steals in the draft. He can start, in the league at least eventually. I think he can develop into a pretty good starting player. He's really tall. He's ran a 4.4 at the combine. Honestly, like I said, if he didn't play at Notre Dame and they played in a more pass-happy offense, he probably would have went 1 or 2. I mean, he has prototypical size and speed. He just played in a run-heavy offense.
Everything I heard about St. Brown was he's got entitlement and character issues. If there's any team that can probably fix that, it's Green Bay.
Yep. Rodgers isn't going to have that, obviously. So,
and if not, they wasted a 6th-round pick on him. No one expects 6th-round picks to do anything, so they'll just cut him. But I really liked our wide receiver picks. Equanimeous St. Brown, Marquez Valdez-Scantling, I think is his name, and then Jamon Moore from Missouri. All big, about 6'2", you name it, over 200 pounds. All ran a 4.3, 4.4, 4.5, 40. So size and speed, going to try to replace Jordy Nelson. But moving on to my second team that was a winner, Denver Broncos. You don't think? I thought they did. I really liked it. Obviously, they get one.
Like that they picked Sutton with Sanders and Thomas still on their roster.
Yeah, but they had to get younger offensively. They got one of the best defensive player in the draft, Chubb. I'm podcasting. You were upstairs working. Sorry, my mom just came in. And then I actually like the Sutton pick. They needed to get younger offensively. Demaryius Thomas, he might still be a good player. Who knows? He hasn't had a quarterback in a while. Emmanuel Sanders is okay, but maybe add a third guy, and maybe it's Sutton. They needed a running back. They got one in Royce Freeman. Kind of a reach. I didn't have him going that early, but he ought to be able to step in. And then they got a corner I like in Isaac Yiadom from Boston College. Overall, I like their move. Get younger offensively. They already have a pretty good defense. Try to build it around Case Keenum until you get your next franchise quarterback.
You might not like my third one, and I'm telling you, in a couple years, they're going to be a damn good team. But the Chicago Bears.
Yeah, I agree.
They're building a good team over there. I don't know who's running the front office and everything, but they've made some good moves over the past couple years. They got the defensive rookie of the year. I would put it in Sharpie right now in Roquan Smith. I bet you he cracks 100 tackles immediately first season. Got one of the best overall players in the entire draft, 2nd round in James Daniels, to help an already pretty stout offensive line protect Mitch. And
he can play all 3 interior positions, but they'll probably plug him in at center.
And can open up a lot of holes for Jordan Howard and everyone else. And then they got Anthony Miller in the 3rd or 4th round, who's
I think they traded up for him in the 2nd.
He's a damn good corner.
He's a good player.
A damn good wide receiver. I mean, and I think they had a great draft. I think they helped out Mitchell Trubisky while also getting a blue chip defensive player, which is impressive. It's kind of hard to do that.
I agree. I like we've said. I think they wanted to go offense in the first round to help Trubisky, but there wasn't really one on the board, so they just went best player available and got a good player in Roquan Smith. And like you said, I like the Daniels and Miller picks. But my third winner in the AFC is actually the Miami Dolphins. Micah Fitzpatrick falls in their lap at pick 11. They could have used a center fielder, free safety, and you can also maybe plug him in at corner, but I think he's more of a free safety. Mike Gesicki, tight end out of Penn State in the 2nd round. They definitely needed that. Linebacker Jerome Baker out of Ohio State in the 3rd. They needed that. In some of my drafts, I had him going I had them going linebacker in the 1st round. And then in the 4th round, drafting another tight end, Durham Smythe out of Notre Dame. So they really beefed up that Notre Dame tight end position to get Tannehill some playmakers in the middle of the field.
About time Miami did something good.
And even Kalen Ballage, the running back out of Arizona State. I kind of like him.
All right, so let's hear your AFC team that didn't do well.
Well,
let's hear those.
Right off the bat, I know our boy Artis isn't going to like it. I didn't like the Kansas City Chiefs draft. You lose Marcus Peters in the offseason. I feel like you got to upgrade at corner. They did add Kendall Fuller, but I feel like you got to get somebody else to replace Peters. And they didn't take a corner until the 6th round. I felt like they spent too much time on the defensive line. Breeland Speaks and Derek Nottie, good players, but I really don't think they needed it that early. And then they spent a 3rd-round pick on a linebacker, and when they just bought or acquired, what's his name, Anthony Hitchens in free agency. So they did get Armani Watts from Texas A&M in the 4th round. I do really like that pick, but other than that, I think they spent too much time in the defensive line. What about you?
This one's pretty obvious. The Seattle Seahawks drafted a running back I didn't see ranked top 3.
I could not believe they took Rashad Penny in the first round.
Yeah, Rashad Penny with the 27th pick in an interior lineman heavy draft.
Yes.
With a lot of good interior
Connor Williams was still on the board. Will Hernandez was on the board.
I didn't get it. I actually really like Rashad Penny.
I do too.
First of all, terrible value where they got it. Not only from position, but just the player in general. He's not a first-round talent. I'm sorry.
But I think he's going to be a good player, but my goodness.
Yeah, fits a need, I guess. And then, listen to this. Can you believe a team with probably the worst offensive line in the NFL, definitely bottom 3, completely ignored the interior offensive line in one of the best interior offensive line drafts in recent memory?
Yep.
Dude, and they drafted a tackle, one offensive lineman in the whole draft. If you said, what do you think the Seahawks are going to draft this draft? I'd be like, offensive line, at least 3.
Yeah.
One player, and it was a tackle in the 6th round. It didn't make any sense to me. I love Shaquem Griffin. I think he can actually be a really good player.
I think they took him just because his brother's on the team. It's a good story.
But obviously drafting a player without a hand can come back to bite you in the ass. We'll see if it does. But I honestly think the Seahawks might have the worst draft of the entire NFL, and it's a shame because they're in a really good division now. So. Good luck.
Yeah, that was a team. I heard Matt Miller say it best from Bleacher Report. I was listening to him on day 3. They were doing a live show, and he said that team is rebuilding, and they don't know that they're rebuilding. It feels like they still think that they're one of the NFC's top-tier teams, and they're not.
No, not at all. Not at all.
Yeah. So my second team, I'm staying on the West Coast, but going a little bit south, the Oakland Raiders. I do not understand what the Oakland Raiders were trying to do. First, we said that and during our live show, they took Colton Miller out of UCLA at pick number 15. I did not understand that. I thought he was more of a second-round player.
Didn't like it.
We both thought they needed help at corner, they needed help at DB, linebacker, whatever. They took a corner in the 4th round, who I do like, Nick Nelson out of Wisconsin. And then they took a linebacker in the 6th round, Azim Victor out of Washington. I don't understand what they were doing. They went tackle, defensive lineman, which will help, but the player was a little bit of reach. P.J. Hall out of Sam Houston State. Have never even heard of him.
No, he's actually a beast. They were talking about him on this podcast I was listening to today. Apparently, he has 14 blocked kicks over his career in that team top. So it's an NCAA record. Isn't that crazy?
Yeah, that is.
Put in on special teams.
Yeah, so I'll give him a break there. Sounds like he's a good player. And then another tackle in the 3rd round. I don't get it. Once you find that you're right tackle in the 1st round, I think you can forget about the position for a while.
Yeah. I wouldn't draft 2 tackles.
Yeah, unless you really needed help on the offensive line, and they really don't.
And they don't, exactly. That's what I meant. I meant. Not, I wouldn't draft 2 tackles.
And then Arden Key, and I think Arden Key's a first-round talent. He's got a ton of baggage, though. Maybe it works out. Oakland always seems to have a guy like that. They take chances on guys with character problems. And it sometimes works out. Maybe it works out, and they can pair him next to Khalil Mack. And if he lives up to his potential, that can be a very good pass-rushing duo. And then they took a gamble on Maurice Hurst, who is a steal in the 5th round, but is he really a steal after his heart condition? People were saying that only about 2 teams had medically cleared him. So,
man, I don't know, man. That's going to be tough. But
I don't get what Oakland was doing.
Second team that I thought had a bad draft is the New Orleans Saints.
Yep.
Saints.
And that's a shame. That team has drafted, same with Oakland. Both of those teams have drafted so well like the last 2 or 3 years.
I do think the Saints should have got a quarterback, especially since they traded up, but I won't criticize them too harshly for that. But when you give up two first-round picks for a pass rusher from University of Texas, San Antonio, literally best-case scenario, he lives up to that value. Best case scenario, he's fucking Julius Peppers and is worth 2 first-round picks. 99% chance he doesn't end up being that good.
And I like Marcus Davenport. I don't understand why you give up a future first-round pick for him.
And it's not even his fault. You know what I mean? Like, he's going to have a pressure on him, and it's not even his fault. He's like, dude, I went to a team that just started their football program 2 years ago in college, and you spent 2 first-round picks on me, so now I have to be the best damn defensive end in the league. Yep. They gave up What I didn't like about it is the fact that Drew Brees is old as hell, and they gave up a future first-round pick that they're going to need one of those soon to go up and get a quarterback. They wanted to get Pat Mahomes last year.
Yep.
Yeah, they want a quarterback, and they gave up very good draft.
We both thought for sure when they traded up with Green Bay,
yeah.
I thought they were taking a quarterback.
It would have been way better, way more value.
I know, and now I'm sitting there as a Green Bay fan. I'm like, thank you. Yes, we will take that second first round pick next year.
Honestly, and this might be a bit of a reach, but tell me, I bet I don't think it's at least too much of a reach. The Eagles might have gotten, barring the injury concerns, a superior player in Josh Sweat in the 4th round.
That's about where I thought he was going to fall. It was 4th or 5th round. But yeah, he's a very good player.
Yeah, I mean, he's just an absolute beast. 6'6", 250 pounds, ran 4.5 like Davenport. But he played at Florida State, so he's you know what I mean. He's a damn good player.
One thing I will say, Seattle, they did take Jamarco Jones, who was a steal in the 5th round. In the 5th round. I was just thinking about that.
Yeah, I said that, but they only took one tackle.
Yeah, I know.
It was just terrible. But who's your third team?
My third team, right here nearby where I am right now, the Pittsburgh Steelers. They didn't take a single linebacker. I don't understand how you can do that with Ryan Shazier the way he is.
Dang, they didn't take.
They didn't take a single linebacker. Now maybe I was just thinking about this. They took Terrell Edmonds in the 1st round. He's an in-the-box safety. They took Marcus Allen in the 5th round, another in-the-box safety. So maybe they're trying to come up with some other packages where they have safeties playing those linebackers because now they're just full of these physical in-the-box safeties, Morgan Burnett, Sean Davis, Terrell Edmonds, Marcus Allen. There's another one on their roster. I'm not sure TJ Ward. Now, who was the guy that got from – he was in Dallas. Maybe Wilcox. I could be wrong about that. But I don't understand it. Maybe they're just going to put one of those safeties in the box and try to stop the run. I actually do like their 2nd and 3rd round picks, James Washington and Mason Rudolph. Maybe you develop Mason Rudolph into the heir apparent, and James Washington feels like a good match with Juju Smith-Schuster and Antonio Brown. But overall, I don't really get it. You got to take a true linebacker, and now they're just filled with in-the-box safeties. There's no free safety on the roster. I think they're going to try to put one of those guys at free safety. I don't think either of them are going to work out.
Yeah, I didn't even notice that they had that bad of a draft. The third team in the NFC was a little harder for me to pick. But,
I thought the NFC was pretty good at drafting.
I do
AFC, not so much.
I do think I landed, and that shows why the NFC has been way better over the past few years than the AFC. The Niners, I think they reached for McGlinchey.
A little bit, but I can understand why they wanted him.
It's exactly what I said, but I can get it. It is a tackle. You want to protect Jimmy. Not a horrible move. He isn't much of a pass blocker yet. It's going to take a year or two to really reap the benefits.
Yeah, I think he's more of an immediate right tackle. Maybe you develop him into a left tackle.
Yeah, and you know what I mean. He's gonna help in the run game. Big grinder. I felt they could have went in a lot of other directions here that might have helped their team in the more immediate future. But maybe they are looking at it for the long haul, even though they can compete right now. I don't really blame them for that. But personally, I would have took Tremaine Edmonds, Derwin James, Minkah Fitzpatrick.
They took a linebacker in the 3rd round. I liked.
I took any of them over McGlinchey. And then I have a nitpick with the Dante Pettis pick.
Yeah, that was a reach.
Slightly a reach, very similar to Marquise Goodwin in skill set.
He's really just a deep threat. I don't really know what else there is to like about Pettis.
Well, apparently he's one of the better, one of the best, not one of the better punt returners.
I was going to say it's got to be returning. It's got to increase his value.
He can contribute on special teams immediately for the next 5 to 6 7 years. Could be a good class, looking back 3 years from now. But honestly, I think they did a few too many reaches. One of those isn't going to work out.
And I think they even traded up for Pettis. We'll see how it works out. It could end up working out well with Jimmy Garoppolo. So now we're going to get into some steals. What are some of your biggest steals of the draft for a team?
I got 7 here.
7?
I got Calvin Ridley. First of all, was a steal. Very late in the first, and it was an absolute luxury pick.
Atlanta got 2 huge steals. I wrote about this on my blog. 2 huge steals. Calvin Ridley and Isaiah Oliver, both first-round talents.
We said that on the show as well.
Mm-hmm. But the rest of their draft was kind of meh outside of those two.
Yeah. Tyrell Crosby in the 5th. I seen some people had first, second round grade in him. I seen a couple mock drafts that had him mocked to the Eagles at 32. Mm-hmm. And so the fact that he lasted, all the way to the 5th is, pretty surprising. Apparently, he's listening on this podcast.
I think he's got concussion issues.
Very raw, but he's like an absolute freak of nature. Can get out and stop the speed rushers. Josh Jackson in the 2nd round.
Yep.
Thought great value for that. Like I said, starting corner probably week 1.
They said, a lot of people have said he'll go right in and start in Green Bay day 1.
Yes, I mean, I seen some people had him mocked to like Carolina in the 20s.
I didn't care for his combine. I've mentioned that to you, James. He did not look good at the combine, but a lot of people still liked him. He had the tape. I wasn't crazy about spending a first-round pick on him at 14. But then he fell to the 2nd round. I'm like, hell yeah, I love that.
Yeah, perfect. Exactly. But you know what? Good football players can play football. Measurables aren't everything. They do mean something in the NFL, but they don't mean everything. Like I said earlier, Equanimeous St. Brown in the 6th. I don't care. That's 2 Packers steals on here. That's good value. I don't care. Like I said, he has the perfect, wide receiver body. Adbania Okoronkwo from Oklahoma lasted all the way to the 5th round. I seen him top 5 in some people's pass rushing list.
He reminds me so much of Eric Stryker, and that's a reason why he fell.
He's a pretty, he's a pretty damn good player.
He's an undersized edge rusher. He's just not going to last.
So I guess that makes sense. But like I said earlier, Josh Sweat to the Eagles in the 4th round.
I agree.
The fact that he doesn't have to play a bunch of snaps really alleviates my injury concerns a little bit. The fact that he can just come in and probably just come in 3rd down packages and just literally pin his ears back and rush the passer.
Hey, hang on real quick. Score check. Celtics up 11 on the 76ers.
They're playing tonight?
Yeah.
I thought they were playing tomorrow.
No, that's tonight. We got to hurry this up, then.
I'm about to go watch that.
I know
right
you
now.
want to watch your Sixers.
I thought that was tomorrow. And then Darius Geis in the 2nd. I heard, some people had some character concerns with him, but I don't care. He had I mocked him to the Lions a couple times, all the way up at like 20.
I had him going 1st round, yeah.
Yeah, the fact that they had him going, the Redskins, who really needed a running back just like Geis really bad, and he really helped their team. The fact that they got him in the 2nd, very good.
That's huge. Washington needed a running back, and now him and Samaje Perine in the same backfield, it's interesting, for sure.
No, Darius Geis and Chris Jones?
Thompson.
Chris Thompson.
Yeah.
Chris Thompson. Perfect.
And Chris
complementary
Thompson.
backs. Yep. Thunder and lightning.
So is that it for you?
Yep.
All right. So I only have 4. I mentioned a 5th, and Deion, what was it? Deion Kane out of Clemson. But I'm not going to mention him right now since I mentioned him earlier. Number 1 in the AFC, Derwin James to the Chargers. Huge steal. This was a elite top 10 talent. Fell all the way to 17. Filled a need for the Chargers in the meantime. Big get for the Chargers. My 2nd steal was actually Harold Landry to the Titans. Mm-hmm. I was really holding out that he was going to be there for Green Bay. Got scooped up at pick number 41, and Green Bay was at 45, so I was a little bit bummed about that. Really good player. That's one of the better pass rushers of the draft, and he fell to the 2nd round. I like the Titans in general. Their first 2 picks, Rashaan Evans and Harold Landry. That defense should be a whole lot better. I lost you there.
No, Mike Vrabel was going to do that.
Yeah.
All right.
And then Sam Hubbard to the Bengals in the 3rd round. Again, that was another guy who was a borderline 1st-round pick. I had him more in the 2nd round, then he fell to the 3rd. Interesting that he fell that far. Cincinnati didn't really need him, but you can always use depth. And my last one was Malik Jefferson falling in the 3rd round, too. Also, the Cincinnati Bengals. I think they had a good draft.
They did. They did. I agree.
But, yeah, that gives them a body at linebacker. That was one of their biggest needs, aside from the offensive line.
Yep. All right, man.
Yep, so that will do it for us. This is just a draft recap show. Yeah, not a very long show. We'll be back. Are we going to do anything later in the week, a regular show?
Yeah, we'll see what's up.
Okay, we can do that. We'll be back
Peace.
probably later in the week, so keep tuning in.
Later.
Later.